let's get started. It's 9 a.m. On the clock. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, how are you feeling today? Lot of excitement at Ignite? Yeah, okay, great. Um, as you see, and the session is basically about Omnichannel Engagement Hub. I am Virag Shah, the lead product manager for this particular feature. We are a bunch of product managers working on this feature since last 1.5 years, from conceptualization of the roadmap to delivery of features. So we are somewhere in between, on track to deliver things in December 2018, in just about 2 months from now. There is a lot of excitement about this product delivery. We have been really thinking about omnichannel experiences since a long time. The market is catching up. We also validated a lot of our features with customers and partners. Thanks to all customers and partners, some of them are in the room, to give us the right insights so that we make the right product choices, right prioritization calls, and make this delivery happen. So with that, let me also introduce my colleague, Neerja. She's also a co-presenter, and she's going to speak about agent experiences. You want to?
Hi, everyone. So I'm a PM working in the I2C team as a part of the customer service applications, and Omnichannel Engagement Hub is an application that, as Virag explained, we've been working on for quite some time to deliver it. So today we'll walk you through what the application has in store for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Neerja. So what is Omnichannel Engagement Hub all about? So it is in line with the mission statement of Microsoft. So I won't really take a lot of time. It's basically empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And we'll really see at the end of the session, we really want to kind of get that message across that omnichannel experiences are going to really make that happen in a meaningful manner. We also saw what James Philip spoke in the keynote yesterday. How many of you were there on the keynote yesterday? Let's do a show of hands. Oh, then it's great. Basically, that just gives me a confidence that probably I don't need to really talk a lot about what all this is all about. So here, where we fit in, we fit in the engage customers part of the whole flywheel. So yesterday we talked about, I'll just repeat a few points from what we heard yesterday. We talked about transforming the experiences from single channel to omni-channel, and these all investments are accruing to that particular facet of engaged customers. And yesterday we also saw that there is no more siloed application in Dynamics 365. Dynamics 365 applications kind of create experiences from sales, service, operations, finance, all through the spectrum of the organization to deliver modern, unified, intelligent, and adaptable experiences. And clearly, data and intelligence is like in the center of the whole strategy. So we remain true to that particular thing as well when we kind of go ahead and deliver Omnichannel Engagement Hub experiences. So what is really this Omnichannel Engagement experience all about? So what do we mean when we say that we really want to truly be omnichannel? So we all know that customers today are modern, they are more mobile, they are social, they have their own channel preferences. It's no more about going to the single channel and then trying to expect an experience out of it. They want a power of choice. At the same time, they don't like to give repeated answers to the same set of questions. When they give you a phone call, they are given like 10 IVR responses to give. When they send an email, again, probably the same set of questions are asked. So it's all the more important that the organizations have the context on their end so that agents can meaningfully know that this customer came for something before and then it's in continuation of that as well. At the same time, we want to empower experiences for employees, spanning across agents, supervisors, business managers, and so on and so forth. So it is all about that, and it's not, like I said, it's not about siloed experiences. It's across the whole spectrum of applications, from work order management to contact management to scheduled dispatch through intelligent customer engagement platform, and so on and so forth. So the most important thing that we want to stress here is basically businesses, what will they gain? So this is a platform where customers can come through different channels, and a lot of data gets generated. So whenever data is generated, we want to make meaningful actionable insights out of those data. So that is the core value prop of what we are trying to do with unified experiences and providing a common framework for servicing customers through the variety of the channels here. So what we really want to do here is basically empower the customers to reach organizations through channel of their choice, and then empower the agents to serve those customers through unified experiences which preserve the context and which preserve the context along the customer journey, because customer journey is different for each and every organization. And we all know that different organizations have different line of business applications. So it's all the more important that we provide extensibility and the experiences span not across just what we deliver out of the box, but also through integrations with different line of business applications. At the same time, there are experiences built in for supervisors and business managers to know in real time, and I'm stressing the word real time, because the world is moving from like historical data analysis to everyone wants everything now, because they know that technology has reached that stage and they expect that why can you not give me real-time status? You see real-time, the expectation of customers have completely gone off the board with expecting real-time responses. We saw some examples in yesterday's keynote where the thing is not just about order status checking, it's also about giving clear insight into where the manufacturing process is all about. So, and then businesses get insights out of the whole interaction. So, what we do here is, now let's dig deeper into how omnichannel works. So customer wants to kind of go through, wants a choice of channels. So they can come through any of the channels which are listed here, be it email, phone, social, chat, and so on. When those interactions kind of are channelized through channels, there are different queues set up there where the agents and the workforce are kind of mapped based on their skills, based on their expertise, and they're working on different channels. And then a unified routing and work distribution makes a decision call there and finds the right agent who can service the customer who is incoming for a particular query. So there is a complex routing and work distribution algorithm. So in the past, we had routing algorithms, but this is like taking it to the last mile, where we also uniquely identify that this is the agent, and then we serve that customer directly to the agent in real time. So that is the new thing which is coming up. And once it is with the agent, the story doesn't end there. It's basically the core experience is coming there. So once it's with the agent gets a unified view across channels. Agents gets a multi-session kind of an experience where they can serve multiple concurrent customers coming from different channels, probably about the same kinds of issues because the agent is an expert in a particular kind of an issue. So this becomes a high productivity churner for the agent, which is very easy to use and also translates into high customer satisfaction and high net promoter score for the organizations. It has a customer 360, it has agent scripts, it has note-taking, and it has line of business integrations, and at the end it also shows the KPIs that matter for the agent, and the KPIs that are measured and tracked continuously by the supervisors and the managers. So, so probably I crammed the introduction in a very small time, because I know that what really excites all of us is basically we want to know what's coming, right? So what's coming in Omnichannel Engagement Hub for December 2018 preview is basically a limited set of channels to start with, because all these services are cloud-based services built on top of Azure, wherever I talk about, say, real-time presence, real-time availability, real-time connection between customer and agent, all those are built on the substrate of Microsoft Azure and then Microsoft Messaging Platform, and all those services are cloud services. So the channels that we are going out with for the immediate release is basically live chat, SMS, and live chat is not just for Dynamics 365 portals, but will also work on any custom portal that the customers may have. SMS entails interactions between, it takes care of inbound and outbound scenarios. It's not just about outbound notifications. You can actually base your customer service process on a SMS platform where customer sends an SMS, agent responds, customer responds back, and so on and so forth. And then we have channel integration framework. There is a detailed session for channel integration framework on Friday. This channel integration framework enables the partners to integrate their cloud telephony, or also enables customers who already have a lot of investments into traditional telephony players to integrate with omnichannel experiences on the UI layer, so that they can get the full advantage of what we are showing as an agent experience, which is unified across channels. And then once they consume the data, they can really make like dashboards and reports which are across channels, and not just about the channels that are delivered out of the box for Dynamics 365. So this is an important piece where we are working with a lot of partners, and that makes the phone channel work in tandem with the other channels that we are delivering on the omnichannel platform. And we are also enabling customers to bring their own bots through Microsoft bot framework for call deflection, self-service scenarios, and so on and so forth. Because we all know that even like not just organizations who want to save cost, but even the customers today, there is a big class of customers who want to kind of do them themselves, do it yourself, DIY kind of customers, who would never want to kind of go and write an email or pick up a phone or try chatting, as long as they get the right information at the right time by their own. So these are experiences which are really important for all our customers, and these are the things that we have prioritized for our immediate release. So we'll see through demos that how these channel interactions kind of manifest into agent and supervisor experiences, and how those also kind of what kind of intelligent insights we can gain out of it. So we have made a beginning in intelligence insight by doing automated KB search suggestions, by doing related cases, and then giving KPIs out of the box. So this is like just the beginning. We'll see how once the platform is built, we can like make other scenarios happen based on the data that we kind of generate for the customers. Okay. So with this, let's go through the demo and see what we have. Just a disclaimer, basically all the features that we kind of listed here, they may vary in terms of a timeline a little bit, but broad buckets are in place. That's a safe harbor statement. And then the demo that I'm going to show, it's out of, say, engineering bits. So it's still work in progress. So with that, let me try and kind of do the demo. Okay, so here we are. So in this demo, what we are trying to show is basically how customers coming from different channels, probably from web chat, from creating a case, and also from phone call through partner integrations, can come to agent. That agent is expert in a healthcare department, and how she can like service all the three customers from an unified interface. So that's the story that we have chosen for the demo today. So here, what we see is the Contoso Limited portal, and then there is a customer, John, who has a problem with defective product delivery. So John logs into the website. And basically, as soon as he logs in, his name appears here, and then he can use ask an agent option to here to initiate the live chat conversation. So this will load up in a moment. And what you can see here is a chat widget which is completely themable. You can like brand it the way you want, and there's like a feature that is. Can we take the questions at the end? Yeah. Okay. So the question is about healthcare solution, and then I have a case here that I want to kind of check about, and then please, okay, defective product delivered. So the request gets submitted. So on the other side, I'll show you what the agent is able to see. So this is the agent's view of Unified Service Desk, which is branded as Omnichannel Engagement Hub. And then we should see a screen pop here anytime. So the agent is available, and the chat request has come here. There's a screen pop from John White, who is the logged in customer. He's the associate director. His email ID is john@microsoft.com. City is Bellevue, state is Washington. There is a running timer which indicates the agent has to accept it within 105 seconds. And then these attributes are important attributes that organization wants the agents to kind of look at when the chats come in. These are completely configurable based on whatever is the context data at that point of time. We are preserving the context. This is generic. It is not really tailor-made for a specific scenario. So as soon as agent John accepts, agent name is Jennifer. Jennifer accepts the chat from John. She is able to see the whole conversation control load up for her. There are two ways that she can respond. She can reply or she can do an internal message. So immediately she chooses to kind of send a canned message response, which is sluggable. So if you see the messages, hi John White, the name of the customer is already kind of put in, welcome to our Contoso support team. My name is Jennifer and I'm here to assist you today. How can I help you today? So at the other side, we'll see John get this message. Thank you, Jennifer. I got a defective product. Okay, so this is how the message has come on the other side. Here we see that there is a rich overview control, which is talking about customer profile, which is showing the issue snapshot, which is, by the way, like the case number that I typed in as a second answer. That is kind of loaded up here. Also, basically, there is an automated KB article search, which is UI automation. So I typed in defective product delivered. So KB search is automatically triggered for that particular issue that the customer has. So here, the agent can say, yes, certainly, I will look into it. She can also kind of go ahead and read the KB suggestion that has been popped up automatically. It opens up in the context of that session. She can do a send link. So the link is kind of auto-populated here in the control. And Jennifer can immediately send it to John. And on the other side, John can click that open up on the portal, and then it opens up in a new tab. So this is a simple experience on the live chat that we have built, and we want to Jennifer wants to kind of know how she can solve this problem better. So she wants to consult with another agent, which is Smith White. So she does a consult here, and then let's see how the consult experience works here. So this is a scenario where a team of agents can come together and help solve issues for a customer. So there is another, oops. Okay. Yeah. So here you see that Smith is another agent who is also working out of Unified Service Desk. He is getting an incoming consult request. Again, the timer is ticking. The screen pop is a little different, where he knows that this is not a regular chat that is kind of coming to him. It is basically a consult request. So he goes ahead and he has all the information about the customer as well, and he goes ahead and accepts the chat. So here what you see, the cool thing about this is that Smith can see actually all the past messages that were exchanged between the customer John and agent Jennifer. And then he can choose to respond here using internal messages or using, so there is a, sorry about that. It's a screen resolution issue. Yeah, so Smith can respond to that particular customer using internal messages or reply all. So when he sends internal messages, that will only go to Jennifer. Yeah. So internal messages is selected by default. So thanks. I can look into it. And then this message will go, I am on it. These two messages will be going to Jennifer, but these won't be visible to Smith White. Yeah, so here the messages are messages from Smith White are visible to Jennifer, who is the other agent, and let's see whether these are visible to the customer or not. Yeah. So ideally, like these messages will not be visible to the customer. There's some resolution problem. I want to kind of continue and show other cool scenarios. So there are two modes in which you can send messages: internal message and message to all. And now let's see what happens with another customer. She's Abby Miller. So I'm logging into Abby Miller through. Oops. Through Edge. That one was from Chrome. Now this is from Edge. And then she can also choose to chat, but this time Abby Miller wants channel preference. She chooses to create a case, and she wants that I need to deliver medicines. Oops, need to order medicines. And then this is also from the same category of healthcare. So on the portal, a case is created. And this case gets created on the portal. The customer gets to see the entire set of old cases that were created and track those cases. Now these cases will also get routed to the same set of agents. Here, so here the case new incident has been assigned to you. This is a different type of notification here. So there are different ways that you can do screen pops for the agent. So we have chosen to show a different one this here, which essentially is a asynchronous work item, which kind of can be looked at later at a later point of time, need not really be looked at real time. So if this particular agent is working with like 3 live chat customers, and this also gets routed to her because of configuration on the back end, it will automatically sit in her inbox, and she can like come at it and work on it later on. But when she does that, the entire case gets shown in a different session here. So this session is with John White. This session is with Abby Miller. Here also there is KB automation, where the title of the case gets automatically populated in the KB search control. And then the usual stuff like opening the KB article in the context, opening different LOB applications in the context, sharing this with different agents doing consult. All those things will be possible even here. So it's basically about uniform agent experience across different channels. Now let's just quickly do one more step. As in, if there is a CTI integration or through channel integration framework with a call provider, so I'm using a simulator here. A phone call can be done here, and then so this time the phone call is from Patrick Sands, who is another customer. For the same customer, you can see three different session opening over here. So for the same agent, John, the same agent is able to service three customers coming from three different channels at the same time. So that is the value prop that we wanted to demonstrate right now here. And then there is a different clear multi-session engagement which is happening here. So without much ado, let me jump into the later part of the presentation. So here what we saw is John White was a customer who had a problem with question on healthcare product. He came through web chat. It went through Microsoft messaging platform and omnichannel routing and work distribution. It landed on the other side where we are having omnichannel engagement hub, which has agent experiences, supervisor experiences. The data substrate is analytics reporting. And all the data is, by the way, stored in CDS. We all have heard about CDS in the past presentations. It's basically common data substrate where all the data is kind of stored so that intelligence analytical data and intelligence can come and play its role. Then basically we have Abby Miller. She comes through portal messaging for ordering medicines. She does her routing. Again, same routing comes into picture, and then agents like orders the medicines and resolves the case. Yeah, so this one we can see how does that happen. So once Abby Miller goes ahead and say resolves the case here, medicines ordered, so the case is resolved, and then basically there is SMS integration in the backend. So, and then for Abby Miller, I have put my phone number in here. You can see the phone number where the SMS can go. So this is the phone number where the SMS should go. That happens to be my phone number. So that should come here anytime, and I'll be able to show you that. Okay, so here it is. And 2 is the number. Oops. Yeah, so I got this particular message here. Is it clear? Yeah, your case and the case number titled need to order medicines is closed now. So this is the outbound SMS notification that we have integrated with the whole experience, which is also real time. And so there is quite a bit of back and forth to kind of show a complicated scenario. And then system sends an outbound notification back, and then that outbound notification we just saw. And then phone is integrated through CTI integration, which we are doing through channel integration framework that we have delivered as a part of omnichannel roadmap. And then this is also sent to the same agent, but here this time the thing to note, and I just wanted to be very clear, is basically omnichannel unified routing and work distribution is not coming into picture here. It is basically the telephony provider who does that routing. We do the integration at the agent UX layer, and we can like set the presence of the agent to do not disturb. So what that means is basically the switch on the omnichannel side turns off so that no more chats and no more cases can be routed to this particular agent while he or she is talking. So these are all configurable experiences that you can build on top of omnichannel engagement hub. Okay, so with that, we'll go into quick walkthrough of what are the features which are going to come. In like it's little detailing about what's really happening here. And what we saw right now is basically, like I said, it was work in progress, engineering bits, but what we are going to get is something which we talk about here. So we saw that on the portal, you can have like customized configurable widget which can be themed and branded. You can configure your pre-chat questions. You saw that we had pre-chat questions. You can configure more up to a certain limit. And then once the agent is connected or fills the pre-chat questionnaire, the agent also, the customer also gets the response time saying like what is the position in the queue, how much time is expected before the agent can get connected with the customer. We saw the screen pop, which is configurable. There is this unified agent experience where you have the customer 360 the timeline, and the call script and so on. We kind of have the messaging capability, and in the end, we can also rate the chat conversations. So it's basically quick and easy setup of multiple chat widgets, post-chat, pre-chat surveys for offline, authenticated and unauthenticated chat support. Like right now, we just saw that the customer was authenticated on the portal. He had to log in, but we can also see, and it's ready actually, that an anonymous customer can log in, and anonymous customer without logging in can initiate the chat, and it lands to the agent on the other side. The only thing is basically the screen pop will not have all the information because that is not a identified customer. And then internal messages, system messages, we saw those features as well. And then proactive chat supported for both Dynamics 365 portals and custom websites. Okay, so these are the features on SMS side. It is, let me just bring in everything at the same time. So it is about scenarios where you want to do two-way interaction on SMS. Like I said earlier, we support both inbound and outbound scenarios, SMS templates, quick configurations, conversational messaging view. So this is important, this is interesting, I'll talk about this. So what is conversational messaging view? So if you see SMS is on the phone like this, but on the agent experience, you will see the same conversational view that you are seeing for the chat experience with the nuances of SMS. So it's basically the way we are considering a chat channel or SMS channel or any other messenger like a Facebook Messenger or any other in-app messaging is basically it's a messaging experience that we are providing, which is uniform across channels. So even for SMS, we'll translate that into a conversational view that we had for chat. The only difference being that the conversation is not real time. It is basically spanning across a bigger length of time as compared to a chat, real-time live chat conversation. In unified routing and work distribution, we want to kind of, the routing and work distribution engine is capable of routing any work item, any payload coming from any channel. It's not really tied to a chat or a case. We just saw that we can route chat, we can route case, we can even route SMS, and all other channels that we add in the Omnichannel Engagement Hub going forward. And then it's just a thematic representation that agents, how it is achieved, that is Omnichannel agent can be mapped to different channels, and then it can also be, the agent can also be mapped to different skill sets, and based on different skill sets and the routing rules, the incoming request can be routed to the like agent in real time. So like I said, we don't just route to a queue, we route to a real agent within the queue as well. So that's the USP of unified routing and work distribution. So it is about automatic assignment of work that best fits the agent. It's about skill-based routing. It's about real-time availability and presence service, and it works across synchronous and asynchronous channels. And then it has a pretty configurable rule engine that makes these real-time interactions and real-time routing of work items possible. So with that, I'll hand over to Neerja. She has been diligently working on all the cool agent experiences, which is like the biggest piece of what happens once the work item is routed. So I'll pass it on to Neerja.
Thank you, Virag. So first of all, I would like to thank you all for coming in here this morning and giving us the opportunity to talk about Omnichannel as an application. And I, as a PM, I have been working with Dynamics and with Microsoft for 5 years now and Dynamics for 3+ years. And I have worked on various features as part of the web client and have deeply looked at how the customers use the web client and what the experience of the customers is. In a lot of my visits to customers, I have also had the opportunity to look at main pain points that a lot of our customers face. So when I talk about agent experience, I'm going to focus on those pain points and how we've tried to mitigate the pain. So agent experience is a core part of Omnichannel. And Most of the call centers recognize that happy agents mean happy customers, right? But still, if I look at the statistics of how the agents are using applications, they tell a slightly different story. Um, most of the organizations, approximately 96% of them, use multiple applications to resolve a single query. Most of the customers who are being served by these agents expect a continuous experience across the different channels that they reach out through. And only 8.4% of these organizations that are call centers have capabilities that are multi-channel or omni-channel. So there's a huge difference between the expectation of customers and the kind of experience which is provided to the agents, right? So while designing all of these features of agent experience, we've laid a lot of emphasis on the kind of metrics that we want to keep in focus. And all the metrics that we track for agent experience in omni-channel are the same as the metrics that are used to measure the performance of these agents. So anything from agent productivity with respect to lowering down the average handling time, or having a low case resolution time, having a good customer experience, providing good customer satisfaction, are all of the metrics that we have tracked while building the agent experience. So now I will be walking you through one by one all of the features that we have very carefully articulated in omnichannel. Screen pops and contextual customer 360 information. This is something you saw in the demo as well. And this is a remarkable feature. What it does is that for any incoming chat request or phone call, we search the entire CRM database, and the information of the customer is loaded in front of the agent. So he does not have to go to the customer and ask for this information repetitively, right? So 2 to 5 minutes that are typically spent by agents asking for this information for the customer are now saved. And time saved is money saved in a call center. We all know that. So the kind of ROI that this feature gives you will be huge. Also, I would like to stress upon the fact that the notification that we see here on the screen is configurable. The information in terms of the attributes of the customer, the case, or any other information that you would want to search in the CRM database and show on the notification are completely configurable. Also, the customer 360 view that we saw in the demo as well is completely configurable. You can go ahead and select which records need to be searched for in the CRM database and information shown in this view. The timeline that you see in the third column on the screen shows information with respect to the recent activities that have been performed by the customer before reaching out to the agent. So if he went to the website and he searched the knowledge base article for a healthcare product defect, that information will be visible to the agent in the timeline here so that he does not have to ask that information again. The conversation summary section, which you see here in the first column, bottom, is a contextual information view for the current channel. So if the customer is reaching out through a chat channel, this information will be refreshed to show the context of the current communication. So here you can see there's a pre-chat tab, which shows all the questions that have been answered by the customer while reaching out to the agent. There's also visitor information, which will show details with respect to the browser that is being used by the customer or the device that the customer is logged in through. Right? So it empowers the agent with a lot more information that would otherwise have been available. You also see on the top here a lot of tabs open, right? So we have a rich multi-session experience wherein the agent has the power to go ahead and work on multiple sessions at the same time, making him more productive and also giving him the ability to switch between the various sessions within the application without wasting any time. There are also a number of application tabs that are available below the session tabs, which means that the agent can go ahead and click on information within the customer 360 view and load more information in the application tab, again in the context of the current conversation. Another important point I want to stress on is the importance of user experience for the agents. Providing a clean UX is very important for the agent to be more productive. So what Omnichannel provides you is a consistent experience across channels. Whether the agent is working on a chat request, a call request, or a case, he will go ahead and see the same UX, which will make him more productive. We also have the ability to integrate with line of business applications with UI automations. To give you an example, if there is a third-party knowledge base control that is being used to send across knowledge articles, and if the agent goes ahead and clicks on that, we will give the ability to use events and actions in our interface to be able to send and copy the knowledge article directly to the conversation control pane so that it can be sent across to the customer. Also, if there is a requirement on the accept of a chat request to load multiple tabs, which are coming from different LOB applications, that can be automatically done, right? We also have a lot of productivity tools on the conversation control. So there are quick actions available for the agent to be able to go ahead and transfer the request to a different agent if he sees the need, to be able to consult with a different agent, as we saw in the demo as well, to be able to send a KB article directly from the click of a button here, and also to be able to send canned messages quickly without the need to type out the whole message. So all of these are productivity tools which are great for agents to be able to use.
Can you go next?
Now, when I was talking about the agent experience, I mentioned that it's the heart and core of the omnichannel application. The supervisors have a really important task in the call center, and that is to ensure that the agents perform their work well, right? And in Omnichannel, we provide a lot of features for the supervisors to be able to do their job well. So we provide a lot of dashboards wherein they are able to view the status of the various conversations and tasks that are being performed by agents in the call center. We provide a dashboard view wherein the supervisor can get a snapshot of all the KPIs that are currently and their values for the call center. For example, he can see the current value of the average handling time, or how many long-running conversations are currently present. Right? He can also look at the queue view in terms of all the current queues that are available, how many agents are working on each of these queues. He can also look at an agent view in terms of how the agents are doing, in terms of what are the various, how are the agents doing with respect to the various KPIs, and is any of the agent who needs help with respect to their performance. He can also look at all the ongoing conversations in the call center at the same time. And if he realizes that there's a particular conversation wherein the KPI is not being met, it has been going on for more than 60 minutes, but the customer issue is not resolved. So he can go ahead and click on this conversation and do a monitoring, wherein he can go and look at what are the messages that are being exchanged between the agent and the customer. If need be, he can also do a silent reply or a reply internal, which is a whisper. And he can also barge into the conversation and talk directly to the customer to make sure that the issue is resolved. So in a nutshell, the supervisor experience provides with health tracking in terms of all the KPIs, monitor whisper barge scenarios to enable coaching and process adherence for agents. Another important thing to note about the supervisor experience is that unless current implementations where calls might be coming from a different view and chats might be coming from a different view, even the supervisor gets a unified experience of all the conversations irrespective of the channel that they have come out from. There are also rules that can be set in the application. So if there is a breach in the KPI, the supervisor can be notified that there is a breach. He can go ahead and click on accept, and he can take action on that particular conversation. Apart from a real-time information. We also store this information for historical reference. So a supervisor can go into a historical dashboard and look at all the reports and insights for continuous process improvement. So with that, I'll hand it over back to Virag. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. So there is, thank you, Neerja. Thanks for taking us through. So there is one more thing that we talked about is channel integration framework. There is a whole session on Friday. Please do attend that, where we kind of go deeper into channel integration framework and show how partners and ISVs for their customers can integrate their existing investments in telephony providers to work in tandem with an immersive experience inside of Dynamics 365. So it's a JavaScript-based library for channel integrations, which is easy to configure and develop. And then there is a comprehensive developer guide on how to use all these APIs for click-to-call, incoming scenarios, and opening of cases, and so on and so forth. So I'll just kind of quickly show a quick view of how this is done today, without going into much detail about how it is done, because there is a dedicated session, like I said earlier. So let me do that. Yeah, so here, John Smith is an agent who was logged in. Let me take care of the resolution a little bit. Yeah. So here he's on the Tier 1 dashboard looking at different streams. This is like familiar customer service hub. And then there is a customer like me who wants to contact Contoso support. So let me go ahead and try and dial a number. Okay, probably this is a little messy. So here I'm trying to dial Contoso support, and so this dialing, let's go and see. So on the agent side, I can see a phone call coming in. My record is already a contact, so there is automatic contact lookup here, which is like this is done through a sample phone integration, which is on the cloud. So there's voice call from Virag, and then I can go ahead and answer that. And then here, okay. Yeah, here there are different features, like I put my machine on mute so that we don't get noise. So like create case, search KB article, and taking notes for the incoming request. Okay, and then there is automatic lookup of this contact record, Virag Shah, because of the automated number identification which has happened here. And I can take notes while talking through on the phone, and then I can just go ahead and hang it up. So when I go ahead and hang it up, automatically activity is created here, which is the phone call activity. I can go and look at the phone call activity and see the notes here automatically pushed. These are all integrations which are possible through various APIs that we have here. So if I go and do hello, it kind of gets appended here. So notes also can get appended. So like just a sneak peek into what is the channel integration framework. The detailed session is on Friday. And let's go back to our main presentation. Okay. So we talked about supervisor experiences. And then, like I said in the beginning, this is all built on top of Microsoft technologies. This is built on Microsoft Azure, Microsoft Messaging Backbone, which is the similar messaging backbone that we use in Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Dynamics 365. So this is actually walking in the direction of the vision that has been laid out by our leaders of saying that no longer silos, all Microsoft technologies will come together for making the digital transformation happen and real for your customers. And this is like an example of what we are doing with Omnichannel Engagement Hub here. So probably this is like the last slide, so we'll have a lot of time for questions. So what's coming in the next wave? So we saw that we kind of laid the whole picture that we want to kind of be real omni-channel by catering to all the channels, but we are only delivering like live chat and SMS right now, and case can also be routed through omni-channel routing and distribution. We are going to work on asynchronous messaging in the next wave, which is basically messaging on with in-app experiences and on mobile devices as well. Co-browse, which is a much needed or much required feature for a lot of our customers that we want to kind of deliver. Escalation to voice and video. So right now what we see is chat, but while the customer and agent are connected on a chat, if we make that channel multimodal and also kind of enable voice and video on top of it, like what we have in Skype for Business and Microsoft Teams today, then that becomes a multimodal experience on the browser, like what we see in the screenshot here. And then intelligent bot experiences. So intelligent bot experiences, there's a dedicated team who is doing data intelligence. Like yesterday we saw that there is a team for Dynamics. There's a different product called Dynamics 365 for AI for sales. Similarly, the data that we are kind of collecting on the substrate for Omnichannel Engagement Hub, that's like a big pool of data which is varying from customer to customer. And then that data can be leveraged, and that intelligent bot experiences will actually be out-of-the-box bot experience that we deliver from Omnichannel. But there are other scenarios that intelligent service will make happen, like all the, like there is a very focused team looking at AI and machine learning to make use of the integrations between Omnichannel Engagement Hub and Azure Machine Learning, Cognitive Services, Cortana Analytics Suite, Bot Framework, all these technologies, and then coming out with products which are bundled for the customer, and they don't have to kind of go and buy different products and different licenses. Like data intelligence is the core center of the product offerings here. And this all data can be harnessed into actionable insights. All the seemingly buzzwords like sentiment analysis, next best action, basically expert recommendation, knowledge suggestions, intelligent routing, all those will become possible as and when we kind of get this platform delivered, and then use the technologies to kind of leverage and harness the value out of that data. So with that, I think we can have some time for questions. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so what we saw right now, like the features that we kind of showcased, we are going to ship that in preview for December, and then subsequently for GA. The GA date is not yet finalized. Yep.
Is this a product built from ground up, or is it a rebranding of the Unified Service Desk?
Yeah, so what we did is, so all the Azure processes are built ground up, like processes for real-time presence availability, processes for routing and work distribution, the backbone for chat, which exchanges messages. All this is like built ground up. In the demo, what we showed is basically like Unified Service Desk is the client on which we manifested those experiences. Because of the fact that today on the unified client, we do not have a multi-session experience that is there in the roadmap, which is coming up, which is another client where all these processes will manifest into a experience that we showed, which will be similar to what we showed today. So just to clarify, just to answer your question, the client on which we demonstrated the experiences today is Unified Service Desk, but all the processes are built ground up.
What about social? You're talking about omni-channel. Omni-channel is not only chat.
Yep. So yeah, in the beginning I said that we have like all the channels that we want to cater to: email, social, and in-app messaging, and co-browse, voice, video, everything. But we kind of prioritize chat and SMS based on our customer asks and basically capacity and so on and so forth to prove out the processes, because the services in the back end, like presence, availability, routing is common across all channels. So when we kind of do social messaging, you can think of it as a social messaging kind of coming in the routing and getting distributed to the agent to show the unified experience. So a lot of experiences are common there. So just to kind of dig deeper into it, what happens when a customer sends a tweet on a Twitter, right? So when a customer sends a tweet on a Twitter, you can create a tweet entity inside of the Dynamics 365 CDS data substrate, and you can write rules saying that whenever that entity is created, you route it to agents who are trained on dealing with tweets on a particular topic. And then when that's connected with the agent will see the uniform experience that we saw, because for the agent, customer 360 is relevant, task-based step-by-step process is relevant, line of business application integration is relevant, everything is relevant. So only thing is basically we have to kind of ensure that we write the right set of adapters for social, which we are going to tackle in the upcoming next wave after the other things that we kind of do. So for now, social is a little lower in priority. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, please. No, so the CIF, Channel Integration Framework, is meant to kind of integrate your ingenious experiences with what we have here. Yeah, I mean, basically you can make use of your existing investments, and you have the choice to integrate with the Omnichannel Engagement Hub at various levels, and still make use of the investments that you have already done with Ingenious. Yeah. So these all processes for multi-session based experience, it is by December it is only going to be on Unified Service Desk. But if you are okay with single session experience in a different manner, where when a chat comes in, it is confined to the panel on the right side, then we are going to deliver those experiences on the browser. We have not really, so because our North Star is to kind of do it multi-session based, there is an interim stop as well, where we are going to deliver omni-channel experiences on a single session based experience as well. So that is also coming in December. It's only for online. It's not from on-prem for now.
That looks like the Unified Service Desk being a desktop install for on-prem. That looks all web-based.
Yeah, so there is some more work that will have to be done to kind of make sure.
Are there plans?
Yeah, so right now there are no plans. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still a little bit confused. There's quite a lot of overlap with Standard Unified Service Desk. So is this destined to be a completely separate bolt-on to Unified Service Desk, or to ultimately evolve into a version of, is Unified Service Desk going to evolve into this, or are they totally separate?
Yeah, so that's a fair question. So right now what we have done is we have chosen to build an experience on top of Unified Service Desk, but like there are experiences on the browser, which are pure play browser, which are not right now single session. And then there is a roadmap item where we are going to deliver multi-session experiences on the browser. So when that happens, basically we can move all our investments on omni-channel and also make that happen on the multi-session experience on the browser. Yeah, then probably you will not need. But there is a caveat to it, right? Basically, there will be a new product offering which is multi-session experience on the browser, which will be a subset of what you can do on Unified Service Desk. It will not be kind of immediately not kind of match all the capabilities that Unified Service Desk has today. Yeah, most likely, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Cafe X Live Assist.
Yeah, okay.
You were selling like last year is pretty much whatever you're selling it now, except
Yeah. So partners are like the wheels of our engine. So and then like there were questions about engineers as well. So we do emphasize on the fact that partners will coexist with what we have in Omnichannel Engagement Hub, and then Cafex Life Assist is basically a partner solution, which is continuing to add value to our customers. We have a lot of customers on top of it. So it's a parallel offering. You are right in that sense. Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Another question about the SMS in and out.
Yeah.
Gateways for those. This reminds me of like what you do when MDM,
Yep.
right? That was something in the US. So the prices were outrageous with an SMS in and out.
Okay.
But I was wondering, are you going to open it up for us to choose country-specific gateways?
Okay. Yeah, so far that particular capability is only going to be available for a single SMS provider. So we'll kind of, once we roll it out, we'll have to kind of take feedback, and then probably if, like, your feedback is pretty valuable. So I'll pass on to the SMS team. So far I do not know of any plans of providing like different SMS providers for different geographies, but that's a valid feedback. Okay. Okay, so no more questions. Hope you enjoyed the session. And I'll be around for some more time to answer any other questions. We can call it a session. Thank you. Thank you very much.